Hi, it's Jane, and welcome to the Compassion Project. I'm excited because we're going to play a game of Cool to Connect, and I have my first guy playing Cool to Connect with me. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Jane.
Michael Larson is an amazing person. He is a teen parent family counselor at Life Upgrade, and he's a certified life and parent coach. And I had the opportunity to do a chat with him for the Compassion Project a few weeks ago. And now we both have joined an organization called Peace 360. So we're excited.
Yeah, we were just chatting before we got on that a lot has happened since we first connected. And so connection is so key. You never know what door is going to open.
It's true. I know. And I think it's interesting to look back at life and be like, wow, all these things happened to lead us to this.
Exactly.
So, okay. So the game Cool to Connect, the whole idea is it's thought-provoking questions that create deeper conversation. That's real. And the game, these are the cards. They were created by a lady named Dana Clark from Toronto. She has a company called Heroic Humans, and she came out with the Cool to Connect card. So there's 52 cards in a deck. The questions are amazing. I've answered every single question except for 3. So, Michael, you're like my final...
The final 3 of the deck, okay.
And so what happens is I read the question. I don't know what they are either. And then we kind of decide who wants to go first.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have to be you.
Okay.
If you want me to go first, I will. And yeah, and then actually after this, I might change the game up a bit, and I might bring couples on.
Okay.
Get them to answer questions. It's a new...
I would change the direction. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? Okay, so here we go. First question. I'm just going to shuffle these 3 just to, who knows. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, interesting. Who are you here to be?
Like on this planet, I guess it means. Like who?
Wow, that's
I can actually answer that.
Okay.
It took me a long time to realize that, but I am who I am right now. I think to answer it in a short, like who I'm meant to be is who I am sitting here today. It took me 34 years to get to a place I was 2 years ago, to really discover who I am, what can I be, what's my gift, what's my purpose. So what it is it's to help children, number one. And I'm helping children through the parents, and teaching them and letting them know there's a better way to parent. There's an easier way sometimes. There's a more effective way. So I love helping people in the family, in the home, because my belief is this, Jane, that if we can have a home where it's safe and secure and healthy, and we teach skills to our children about emotions, how to interact, those are the skills they're going to take into the community. And if we enter the community where we're not in survival, because if we're in survival mode, we can't interact with compassion, with empathy. So yeah, so when we enter the community, if we have these skills, if we have a home where we get this, we can see someone who's mean to us, but we can pause and we can meet that with compassion. So that's who I am, is someone who wants to spread peace, help people realize that you can change, help people realize there's a different way. So that's who I am.
Wow. Okay. I totally love this question. And someone wrote, here it is. A piece of it must be Danielle. Who I am to be is who I am today. Brilliant. Okay, because as soon as you said your answer, I thought, wow, you and I are on the same kind of page, or we've done, I think, enough personal growth, or where if you do enough personal growth, you start to become really aware of how you think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that question to me also it's like, who are you here to be? So I feel for myself, who I'm here to be is me today, the best version I can be of myself today. So, and I've recently, last couple months, started when I wake up in the morning, when I have a shower, I say, thank you for today, so I can be better than I was yesterday. Like, I want to be more compassionate, and I'll say, like, thank you for this day. I want to be kinder, more compassionate, more caring, more loving. I don't want to be anyone else. I mean, I think when you're younger, you tend to go, oh, I wish I could be like her, or I wish I could be like this person, or I admire that person. I want to be like them. And I think it's about if all of us can dig deep and just be like, I just need to be the best possible version of myself with the gifts I have. And if I am someone that has empathy or compassion, then you don't just talk it, you live it. And I do believe every day you have the opportunity to be better. And at night, if you can say, how did I do today? Well, maybe when I saw that person, I reacted, I can be better tomorrow. And so I kind of feel like it's not a specific, like, oh, I want to be, I just want to be better.
Yeah, like similar to me, and that's, and like you said, we know it takes work to get to this point. I didn't know who I was, so that's like if people are listening, that's the idea is, go into yourself, like you said, go deep, unpack some stuff, listen to yourself, because as you said, we often want to be someone else when we're younger because we live in a world where celebrities in our face and this is in our face. Everything we're not is constantly in our face, right? So as children, it's easy to be like, well, I should be that. So that's, to me, that's helping understand, figure out who you are and find your own path.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be cool if we could really direct our children to just be like, you're so perfect the way you are, and you, especially those young years, like 0 to 7 or 5, like they're just so pure, and they are free to just say, this is me and this is what I love, but then they get into peer pressure and it starts going, no, you're not like that. You shouldn't be on a stage. You're the shy one. They're like, well, no. They start to hold back who they truly are. It's like you have to find it again when you get older, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm all about with my 2 young children, and what I help people teach is, instead of asking your child, who do you want to be? What problems do you want to solve, right? Because what do you see around you? What do you want to do? How do you want to contribute? Like, right? How do you want to? Yeah, and that's who we are. We support them. We're in their corner. But guiding them instead of like, well, I want you to go to this school or that. So that's kind of my simple tip and the cool to connect.
Yeah.
Just guide. And that's how you build self-esteem. That's how you build confidence. When they think, well, I am awesome. I have lots of strengths, but we all have a little bit of weaknesses as well that we can always work on stuff. So to me, it's 5-to-1 ratio, 5 positive comments to every negative one.
That's so good. It's so true. Okay, that was a good question, right?
Buzz.
Okay, next question. So I do. It's so funny. I've played it enough times, but I still get nervous. Okay, that was a good one. What makes life worth living?
Well, you want to go first this time?
Well, I can go first because I do kind of probably at this point know my answer. And it's interesting. That question can make me a little bit sad because, to be really honest and real, raw on this thing, I went through a really bad time about 4 years ago, and I was living in this beautiful home. We had moved, and I got into such a bad place because I'd lost kind of my purpose of where I worked before, and I had left a city, and I was just lost, and I got in a really dark place. And it was probably the first time in my life I actually felt like thoughts of suicide and depression. And and so to look at this, like what makes life worth living, almost makes me cry, because since that time I've had another grandchild. So I have a 6-year-old grandson, and I have a little girl, granddaughter, Kyla. And the joy from these children, and like how important we are in their lives, like as grandparents, and because we've gone through life experience, and I just feel like living through them and knowing that I'm so important in their lives, it makes life so worth living, and that I am so much more aware of how I think, and I'm so much more grateful for the present moment and the joy of the moments with those kids. And I don't think I've ever felt so much joy in my life. But how many years ago I literally thought I had nothing to live for. Isn't that crazy?
Well, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. And you're not the only one. I think, and sadly, the majority of us have that moment, maybe at one point or sometimes longer. Life it's hard. It can be challenging. It can really beat us up, right? And I guess for me, I try to remind myself, and I remind my children, that if we couldn't experience pain, we wouldn't be able to experience pleasure. So to me, that was my biggest mindset shift, is to try to really, So what makes life worth living? I had a deep question. The simple answer would be everything. But to me, I could say my children, obviously, my partner, the work I do, serving others. That there's something to serving others that really resonates with me. It always has. But I had a learning curve to do where I used to always give so much to others, and I forgot about somebody who was this guy. So what makes life living now is myself. So every day, my number one goal is to invest in myself. How do I be, like you said earlier, the best version of myself?
Yeah.
Look for those small moments, right, of what makes life living. Like if I worked out this morning, I'm working out in the basement, I'm dancing around, I'm being silly, I'm being fun, like letting loose, right? And that's something so to me, that's, my children really helped me understand that, was playing, right? Being,
Yeah.
and like you said with your grandchildren, just the moments. And if we're present in them, that's what makes life living.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting, I think, is that honestly, if you knew that you only had, say, a few days to live or something, if you actually could have the perfect day, it would be simple. It would
Exactly.
be in your home, on your couch, hugging your loved ones, playing with your children, being present in the moment, experiencing pure joy. It wouldn't be rushing off some job or doing some, it would be, you would want to do the simple things. And I think what makes life worth living too is that when you are able to be present in gratitude, like the deep gratitude for the moments, like if you're going to work in your basement, you can actually be like, I'm grateful that I can work on my basement, that I am healthy, and that I have, you know what I mean? And I think then it creates more joy that makes life worth living. It's when we get lost in our crazy mind and we're stressed out because we're worried about the future, or we're in the past, like stressed. And life is hard when your brain is either ahead or behind.
Yeah, our brains are not designed to multitask. For some reason along the way, we thought that that's what we should be doing, is doing like 100 things at once, and that somehow proves something. And or like burnout is like a badge of honor sometimes in our society here in the West.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to me, that's like, whoa, like that's not, like you said at the end. I forget the book's name right now, but there's a book I read one time, and it was a palliative care nurse who interviewed people at the end of their life.
Wow.
And the common theme and the regrets were what we just spoke of. Just living this life, checking boxes, house, car, checking merit, checking boxes, and always thinking you had to do something next, right? And then people reflected back, and it's like, what did I do with my life and my days? So that,
Yeah, and I think during the pandemic, it's hard because a lot of people are living like ahead because they're worried what's the future, and then they feel stressed, or what it was like before when I could see my friends and they were sad because and instead of being like, you know what, I'm just gonna get through this time with gratitude and for what I have. And
yeah, I
yeah,
think with
interesting. See, we're on the same path.
the pandemic too. I just wanted, if we're just
Yeah.
quick, anyone listening there, I heard a great quote the other day. My partner Heather shared with me. We're all in the same storm around the world, but some of us have bigger boats than other people do to get out of the storm. So I think that when you look at this divide and all this clash, I think that's what reminds empathy, right? Like I'm doing well and I'm grateful, but other people are really struggling. So I think sometimes we got to remember, some people have an ability to get on a boat and kind of get out of the storm, but others they don't have those resources, right? So I think
Yeah.
there's toxic positivity sometimes in these memes and things I see, like, hey, the pandemic's a blessing in disguise. And I'm like, whoa, maybe to some of us, but someone else who's reading that could be like, oh, like, right. So I just wanted to let people know,
I agree.
hey, that's okay.
I agree, Michael. Oh my goodness, because I think it's sometimes hard to even really realize what people are going through that are really, really struggling, that have lost jobs, that have literally no money. They're trying to support families or they've lost loved ones. I feel so grateful for what I have to go get through this, but other people are so lonely too.
Yeah, like isolation. And I couldn't imagine losing a loved one and not being able to see them. Like, oh, like,
No, I know.
anyways,
There's so much. I agree. I'm glad you said that. Final question.
all right.
So you're doing good. I
Well,
knew
they're
you would.
both kind of linked, so it was okay. We kind of just had, so we'll see what this one is, if it takes us in a different direction or not.
Final question. Oh, I always read it first, and the person's like, tell me. If you really knew me, you would know that, ...
If you really knew me,
If you really knew, like for me, if you really knew me, you would know that. So something that I would tell you that you might not know about me.
would you like me to go first?
Whatever you're comfortable with. Do you want to go? I can go if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll think about that a little bit.
Okay, so if you really knew me, because a lot of people now see me on the Compassion Project and they think, oh, she's so confident and friendly and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if you really knew me, you would know the struggle and pain and insecurity that I have gone through and that I still go through, and that I have to, it almost makes me emotional because I feel like it's so much work sometimes, especially if you've had things in your past that have been really hard, like where your brain, you need to fix your brain, or beliefs in yourself from when you're young that you have to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of work. So if you really knew me, you would know that every day I do not miss a day where I have this routine to get me in the right mindset, because or else I can get lost in, I can start to feel sad, and I can start to, I don't know, just not be a happy person. So it's work. When I wake up, I force myself to think of gratitude before I get up, like really think about it for about 20 minutes. And then I get up and I say, today's going to be a great day. I write it on my bathroom mirror. And then when I get ready, I try to practice mindfulness in the shower so my mind's not wandering. So I'm just present and grateful for the water and all, and so I have this strong routine. And then I put on a headset in when I dry my hair, and I listen to on YouTube anyone I can find, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, so many people, Oprah Winfrey, and I listen and I write notes every day. Honestly, I can't miss a day. If I miss a day, I feel like my brain can almost go back into its old patterns. Yeah. So I actually am not always super happy. I have to really work at it to stay grateful and stay present and I can't just be like, okay, I did that work and I'll just forget doing that. No, it's a lot of work.
It is.
Yeah.
What I'm taking from that is if I really knew you, I would know, who you're presenting. I've met you a few times. That's not necessarily how you always were. There was a long journey to get where you are, and also you have to do it every day. We're never done, right? And that's what I've realized myself, and I want other people to realize, like, there's no such thing as a secret formula where we do A, B, C, and then we're set for life. It's A, B, C every day, or almost every day, right? Maybe a D in there. So what I'm hearing from you is, if we really knew you, it would be like, whoa, how did Jane end up what she's doing now? Like the Compassion Project, Peace 360, right? It would be like,
and I think that if you don't have to go out in the world, you might be fine if you stay in your house. But we have to deal with people, and we have to be confident in ourselves so that when someone says something or does something that's hurtful, like you say, we can stop and be like, oh, it's not about me. And you can go out in the world and keep your peace and joy, and other people, you can just know that if someone says something to you that you feel is hurtful, it doesn't ruin your day. You're like, no, I'm good. Like, that's their thing. Like, love them, but don't take anything personally. So it takes strength of your mind to be out in the world.
It really does. I love it. I can see it in you. I can hear it. Yeah, it's a daily practice. So that's wonderful. If you really
question again?
Yeah, if you really knew me, say it again, please.
If you really knew me, you would know that.
If you really knew me, you would know that underneath this guy who's now helping parents and doing all this, I'm a simple country kid from a small town. My friends or people who knew, like, they're like, how are you doing what you're doing right now? Like, what? Right. So like, what I mean by that is, if you really knew me, like, it's just, I'm at my core, it's just a simple person who grew up in a simple life, but just life kind of came at me, and I just evolved and learned and just absorbed information and just kind of evolved and adapted to everything going on. And at my core still, as much as I do these daily practices and exercise and eating well, I love just laying on the couch with Heather or my children and just watching a movie. Like I'm simple, like, beneath it all, and all these practices I know I have to do, just a simple person. And those are the moments I love the most, is like, if I spend a whole Saturday just laying around. You know what I mean? Like, that's, so to me, if you knew me, you'd be like, he's just a simple guy who is doing a lot of not simple things at the same time.
That's interesting. So what was the town you grew up in? Like, how big was the town?
About 1,000 people.
Oh, wow. Really small. Yeah. Where was it?
It's called Toulon. So it's about 45 minutes north of Winnipeg. So I moved a long distance to the big city of 45 minutes. I don't ever go back to my hometown for a variety of reasons. But and just grew up just like a hockey kid, hockey culture. None of my family worked in social services. There was no indication, right, that I would end up doing what I'm doing.
It's interesting. Do you feel like you followed your gut in your life, that feeling of, oh, I'm this door open, or maybe I'll do that, go with it? Or because Because I think a lot of people will go, there's closed doors and they force them. They want to do this instead of your life can flow because you take the chance, even though it might be right. It feels right, that feeling.
Yeah, I think so. I took some risks. They didn't always pay off. In my younger days, I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of risks that were not helpful. And like the biggest one I did is in my 20s when I finished university and I had a government job working at a jail as a juvenile counselor. And everyone's like, "Oh, you got your career job. You're set. Government pension, all this."
Wow.
I was 6 months in and I was like, I don't want to do this for the next 30 years. Nothing against anyone who works in the same place or a pension. I just, in my gut, it was like, no, like I need.
It wasn't right for you.
Yeah. So everyone was like, what do you mean? Like everyone was family, friends, like, you're crazy if you quit this job. But lo and behold, I quit it a year in and then started my foster home. And then the rest is like kind of what led me to this path.
Wow.
So if I'd never done that, I would have never be sitting here with you today. And I know that for a fact. So yeah, that was my one moment where I listened to my gut. Even though I didn't know what it was going to bring, I just went with it.
Yeah, I think it's so important to that gut feeling we have to really become aware of it. It's easy to ignore it, you know?
And it's easy to have a lot of outside noise.
Yeah.
Telling us that our gut is incorrect.
Yeah.
Even if it's family and friends and they love us, but they don't always, they have an idea where we should go, but we know where we should go. So we got to block out the noise, listen to our gut, take chances, and you never know.
Amazing. And here we are playing Cool to Connect. That was awesome. I love that. Thank you.
That was good. Okay. I didn't know what kind of questions there were. I was wondering if there's gonna be anything. I was like, ew, but that was good. There were good questions that we were able to speak from the heart. And so it was good.
And I think it's important because I answer them too. It's not like it's all on you.
Yes.
And which creates a conversation. I think you can't just get one person to do it. So basically what I've done in the compassion part, I've done lots of this game and I have basically finished the deck. Cheers, finished. But my idea, if anyone's watching to the end, I really think it would be cool to bring some couples on. And I would just moderate it and I would ask the questions. And then I think it would be interesting because I think a lot of couples don't have the chance or opportunity to sit and talk about some of these subjects because life is busy. When do you sit down and be like, only once, Michael, I'll say this quick and then we'll sign off here, but only once at the beginning, I was so excited about these cards because there's 52. So obviously we had 3 left, but I've had a few random ones I've used. Like my husband, it's more serious, whatever. We've been married 34 years. I was like, I want to play Cool to Connect with you. And he's just like, oh. And I was like, come on, just one question. We were sitting out on the balcony in the summer and he's like, okay, he goes along with it. So I was so excited and I read this question. I can't remember what it was. It was something to do with a proud moment or something. Can't remember. And he told me this story from when he was younger. I'd never heard in 34 years. I was like, what? And we ended up having this incredible conversation from that question, just one.
Exactly. And that I would think that's the purpose of the deck is to spark conversations that you would never have. And you've been together for 34 years. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
But like, how do these subjects come up unless there's something that provokes it, right? Because so I love that. That is, and with couple, you never know where a conversation is going to go. And I think it's important to remember to figure out a way to have those moments.
Yeah. So I'll call it Couples Connect and I'll figure a night. I'm going to start it. So if anyone's watching this and you're a couple and you think your husband is brave enough to do it with you or wife, then message me and we'll set it up. It's going to be fun. Okay. Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thanks anyone who watched. And we'll sign off. Have a great day.
You as well.